Every March 21st is World Poetry Day, a special day set aside by the United Nations to encourage people to read, write, share, and publish poetry, and also to recognize the great cultural contribution poetry to human development. Now, I'll be joined shortly to look at the significance of this day and more by Loveth Liberty, who is a spoken word poet and a singer, and also a multiple poetry slam champion. We'll also be joined by Loic Ekinga, who is a Congolese writer and screenwriting enthusiast. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us around.
Glad to have you both here with me on the news. Now, I'll be starting with you, Loveth. What has been your journey through writing, sharing, and performing your art? What has it been like?
Okay, honestly, it has been gradual. I started in 2017 up until now. It has been gradual. When I started, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just knew that at that time I was like praying to God, I want to find purpose besides singing because I really loved to speak. So I started in 2017, started with a management, Cryptic, managed by Raphael Inufeke, and then I found Abuja Literary Society, and which has helped me grow over the years. But I grew really on competitions because literary societies like Abuja Literary Societies, we had we had slams once in 3 months. So I grew from there, and then I had mentors, I had teachers, and there were other platforms. But overall, it was on and off from 2017 to 2018. Then 2019, I just really started to break through, winning a couple of stuff and competitions and talent hunt. But I'm here now, and I'm still on it, taking it one step at a time.
Right. Thank you very much. It's really inspiring to know that, you pursued this despite the challenges. Now, let me come to you, Loic. Now, we know that not everyone is bold enough to share his or her experiences before large audiences. So how do you get yourself to be confident enough, and, where do you derive the confidence and the inspiration to do that, to speak to a large group of people?
I think in many ways, and this is going to be a cliche answer, but I think in many ways it's you get driven by the art that wants to be produced by you. But in a practical way, you of course get to start small with the people around you, with your family, the people you trust the most. Because if you really want to share the work, you will find a way. The art, like I said, somehow pushes you to want to get your work out there, because there's a very interested drive, need to want to share your story. And if you choose poetry as a medium, for a lot of people, it ends up being something that's very much public, because I feel poetry requires one to follow that route.
Okay. Now, Loic, as a poet yourself, can you share with us something to inspire the world?
I think there is, the only thing I would say is that there is so much beauty in us owning our own stories and sharing our experiences. And I think poetry and art in general, but specifically poetry, allows us to do so. For many, poetry, for many, they write poetry not from academic background and the likes, but everybody wants to write. I think everybody's written something at some point in their lives. And I think from that standpoint, I encourage the world to tell these stories. It's very important for the world to know about our perception of reality, to know about their experiences. And I think knowing about other people's experiences helps strengthen our humanity and empathy towards each other. So I'd say that.
Right. Let's come back to you, Loveth. What is that thing you would like to tell the world in the area of poetry that inspires you, that you would like to inspire the world as well?
Okay, I would say this. Usually, people think poetry has to be serious, has to be for a divine cause, or something so. What's the word I'm looking for? Something so serious. But sometimes poetry or writing, but I'll say poetry because poetry seems to be a bit deep. You get. So I would say just write. it's probably self-seeking. Maybe your poetry is not supposed to save the world. Maybe your poetry is just supposed to save you. Do you understand? So while we are looking at a global or a larger scale of purpose, I would say if you have a leading towards poetry, or if you like to write poetry, you don't have to do it for a profession. You don't have to be sounding so wise. You just have to use it to navigate your own path. All right. So do poetry first for you. Let it be self-seeking, and then when you have like sought your own self, you know where your poetry is headed.
All right, that really is something to ponder upon. Thank you so much. Now, before I let you both go, I would like to ask you this question, starting with you, Lovett. If you were to recommend a poem for African leaders, what will that poem be?
Okay, I would recommend Baba Now That You Are Here. It's a poem by Titi Lopez Sonuga. I think she did it at the inauguration ceremony in 2015 of Buhari, I think. Baba Now That You Are Here. It just talked about, okay, we voted you and all that, you're here. So now that you're here, what's up? What are you doing? So I'll recommend Baba Now That You're Here by Titi Lopez Sonuga. And you can find it in her book, This Is How We Disappear. I think it was published some years ago. So it's in there. And then I guess there's a recorded piece out there. But Baba That You're Here would be the poem I recommend to African leaders.
All right, interesting. I'm not an African leader yet, but I'll take time to read that. Okay, coming to you, Loic, what would you say the poem you recommend to African leaders will be?
I think easily from the top of my head, I think the road less traveled. I think there's a lot of things in there where difficult decision, the right decisions sometimes can be difficult, but the right ones. And I think our African leaders need to look into making the difficult decisions for the rest of us and for the nation. So the road less traveled should probably be my pick off the top of my head.
Okay, big thanks to you, Loveth and Loic. Thank you so much for joining us on the news, and thank you for that insight on poetry.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you.